Picture a parking lot, May or June. The ceremony just ended. You're sitting in the car, still in the good clothes. Family has scattered back to the restaurant, the house, the next thing on the list. And it's quiet for the first time in hours. And in that quiet, this question shows up. The one nobody said out loud during the speeches. Now what? Maybe you were the one in that parking lot. Maybe you're still in it. Not from graduation, but from something else. A job that ended. A marriage that changed. A season that just stopped looking the way you thought it would. And somebody, somewhere, at some point, handed you Jeremiah 29:11. Maybe it was on a card, a cap, a well-meaning text from someone who didn't know what else to say. And the verse sounded right. It sounded like exactly what you needed to hear. But if you're honest, if you really sit with it this morning, it hasn't quite landed yet. Not the way it should. Not in a place where the worry actually lives. I know that feeling. I've been in that parking lot. There was a season in my life when I had everything I was supposed to want. A title, a salary, a career that looked impressive from the outside. And I was in the middle of it, doing the work, showing up every day. And something in me knew, this is not where the story ends. But I didn't know yet what God was actually building. And I couldn't see it because I was looking at the wrong thing. Here's what I want you to hear before we go any further this morning. God didn't write a pamphlet. He wrote a manuscript. And you are not in the epilogue. You are in the middle of a story He is still writing. God. Some of us walked in here carrying a chapter we didn't choose. We're not sure what you're doing with it yet, but we're here. Would you just sit with us in it for a few minutes? That's all we need right now. Amen. Before I read you the verse you think you know, I need to read you the 4 verses that come right before it. Because without them, Jeremiah 29:11 is a greeting card. With them, it's a lifeline. This is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says to all those I carried into exile from Jerusalem to Babylon. Build houses and settle down. Plant gardens and eat what they produce. Marry and have sons and daughters. Seek the peace and prosperity of the city to which I have carried you into exile. Pray to the Lord for it, because if it prospers, you too will prosper. Jeremiah 29:4-7. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. Let's sit with this. This spring, if you walk past a sea of graduation caps, you're going to see Jeremiah 29:11 everywhere. On stoles, on stationery, on personalized jewelry, on caps decorated in a Z pattern, top left, center, bottom right, so it reads like a personal brand statement. And the most popular version right now? It doesn't even quote the verse directly. It says, I trust the next chapter because I know the author. Which is actually beautiful. The instinct is exactly right. God is the author. Your life is a manuscript. The only problem is what got left out. And it's the same thing that gets left out when you're scrolling at 2 in the afternoon through everyone else's day 500 while you're still on day 1. The algorithm is showing you their harvest. God is asking you to tend what's growing right in front of you. When this letter arrived, and Jeremiah 29 is literally a letter sent from Jerusalem to Babylon, the people reading it had lost everything. We're not talking about a hard Tuesday. We're talking about entire families ripped from their homes, marched to a foreign empire, living under the thumb of the king who destroyed their city. And other voices, false prophets, were telling them, don't settle in, don't unpack, 2 years, maybe less, and you'll be home. God told Jeremiah to write a letter that said the exact opposite. Build houses, plant gardens, have children, pray for the city that took everything from you. And then, after all of that, verse 11. The hope wasn't coming in 2 years. It was coming in 70. We want God to write a short story, a quick resolution, a 2-year return. But God is writing an epic. And in an epic, the middle chapters are where the character is forged. If you skip the exile, the ending doesn't carry any weight. Most of the people who received that letter would never see Jerusalem again. They would build houses they'd live in for the rest of their lives in Babylon. They would plant gardens in foreign soil. They would raise children who had never seen the promised land. God's promise wasn't, "I'll get you out of Babylon." It was, "I'll use what you plant there." There's one Hebrew word in this verse that changes everything. And it's the word we translate as hope. In Hebrew, it's tiqvâ. And it doesn't mean what you feel at a graduation ceremony. Its root, kawah, means a cord, a rope, something physical you grip in the dark. In the book of Joshua, when Rahab the prostitute hides the Israelite spies and they promise to spare her life, they tell her to tie a scarlet cord in her window as the signal. That cord? Same word, tiqvâ. The hope God promises in Jeremiah 29:11 is not a mood. It's a rope, thrown into your future from His hand. And the question is whether you're gripping it or just admiring it from a distance. When you open your hands in a few minutes, I want you to think about tiqvâ. You're not reaching for a feeling. You're gripping a rope that's already anchored in a future God has finished writing. Let me tell you about the season when I finally understood this. I was vice president of operations for a fast food chain based in Reno, Nevada. Good title, good salary. Everything on paper looked like exactly where I was supposed to be. Our company was doing a cruise with the franchisees, and when it ended, something told me to stay a little longer at the last location. I can't explain it better than that. Just stay. So I did, and I ended up in a bookstore. I walked into the self-help section, and I prayed one of the most specific prayers I've ever prayed. I said, "God, bring me what I need to know." And a book fell off the shelf and hit me on the shoulder. Not metaphorically, physically, hit me on the shoulder. I went to a week-long seminar based on that book, and somewhere in the middle of that week, sitting in a room full of strangers, I knew I'm not where I should be. Not the job, not the city, not the chapter I was in. I went home. I gave 2 weeks' notice. No plan, nothing lined up, just a quiet certainty that God had written something on the next page, and I needed to turn it. I didn't leave Reno because I was following my bliss. I left because the author turned the page, and I had to decide if I was going to stay in a chapter that was already over. It was terrifying. It didn't feel like prospering. It felt like jumping. And in that quiet space of not knowing what came next, that's when my sister called. She and her husband and their children had come to visit. Her husband had been having nosebleeds at night. They asked me about it, and I told him, "See a doctor when you get home." He did. Inoperable brain tumor. The prognosis wasn't good. I sold my house. I moved to Arizona. Not because I had a business plan, not because I'd mapped out a career pivot. I moved because my sister needed someone to stand with her in the hardest chapter of her family's life. And I was the one who was free to go. While I was there, in Arizona, in the place I didn't choose, for a reason I couldn't have planned. I went back to school, got licensed in 2 new fields, started over from the ground up in a completely new industry, and eventually, 3 business locations. But here's what I want you to hear. I didn't move to Arizona to build a business. I moved to Arizona to be present for my family in their darkest season. The business was what God planted while I was there, in soil I never would have chosen for myself. The false prophets told the exiles, "Don't settle in. 2 years and you're out." The voice I had listened to for years told me, "Stay in the title, stay in the salary, stay in the plan you made." And God said, "There's a garden waiting for you in a place you haven't been yet." Here's something I want you to try today. Not at the end of the day, right now. In whatever parking lot, kitchen, bedroom, or commute you're in. What are the words you've been speaking over your own chapter? Because here's the thing about an author. The author doesn't just write the plot. The author writes the voice of the character. And when you wake up and the first thing out of your mouth, even silently, even just in your head, is, "I am stuck," or "I am behind," or "I am in the wrong place," you're not agreeing with your circumstances. You're disagreeing with the author. God is the broadcaster. You are the receiver. And when you tune to the right signal, when you say what He says about your chapter instead of what fear says, something shifts. Not because it's positive thinking, because it's alignment. You're agreeing with a manuscript that was written before you were born by a God who does not waste a single page. Try this today. When the placeholder job feels pointless, when the apartment you didn't choose feels like someone else's life, when you're scrolling someone's harvest at 2 in the afternoon and staring at your bag of seeds, say this: "Because God is the author, I am a character in a story that doesn't end here. Because God is not finished, I am not behind. Because God is holding the plan, I am held by it. My location is not my destiny. It is my assignment." Not a mantra, not a performance. A receiver tuning to the signal that's already been broadcast over your life. And here's the thing I want to leave in this section of the conversation. God didn't tell the exiles to wait for better soil. He told them to plant in the soil they were standing on. He didn't tell me to wait for a better city. He used the city my sister needed me in. He's not waiting for your circumstances to improve before He starts working. It doesn't matter where you are. It is what you plant while you are there. I want to try something with you. Stay with me. Look at your hands right now. Not in a weird way, just look at them. Are they gripping something? The steering wheel? The edge of a blanket? The phone that's been in your hand since you woke up? Are they tight? White-knuckled around a plan that keeps slipping? Because here's what I know about clenched hands. They can hold on, but they can't plant. What would it feel like to just open them? Not let go of everything, just make room. A closed fist can't receive a seed. An open palm can. There's a gardening principle that changed how I read this whole passage. Alfalfa is a crop that most farmers plant not for themselves, but for the field. It fixes nitrogen in the soil. It's not grown to be eaten. It's grown to prepare the ground for what comes next. And here's the part that stopped me. Alfalfa roots go deeper than almost any other crop, up to 20 feet underground. You can't see any of that from the surface. While the field looks like it's sitting still, something is reaching deep into the earth. Some of you are the alfalfa right now. The season you're in isn't your harvest, it's your root work. God is using this, the in-between, the placeholder, the not yet, to grow something in the ground of who you are, so that when the real thing is planted, it doesn't wither when the heat comes. You are not behind. You are being prepared. The exiles in Babylon had open hands, because everything they'd been gripping had been taken. And God said, "Good, now plant." Maybe that's where you are this morning, not by choice, but maybe by design. I can't sit with what we just talked about without taking it straight to God. Come with me. Before we pray, I want to do something with you. Every manuscript has 3 kinds of pages. Pages that are finished, pages that need to be edited, and pages that are still blank, waiting. Right now, in whatever space you're in, I want you to think about 3 things. You don't need to write them down, just let them surface. Page 1, the finished pages. Gratitude. What chapter in your life, even a hard one, can you look back at now and say, God was in that? It might not have felt like it when you were living it, but looking back, there's something on that page that only He could have written. Hold that for a moment. That's not just a memory, that's evidence. Evidence that the author has been in this manuscript from the beginning. Page 2, the red pen. Honesty. What chapter are you in right now that you'd rewrite if you could? The job that doesn't feel like yours. The apartment that doesn't feel like home. The season that was supposed to be over by now. What's the thing you've been holding with both hands, wishing the author had written it differently? Name it. Not out loud if you don't want to, just name it inside. Let it be real for a second, without dressing it up. God already knows what's on that page. You don't have to protect Him from it. You don't have to spiritualize a chapter that hurts. Page 3, the blank page. Request. And now, what do you want the next page to say? Not the whole rest of the book, just the next page. What would it look like if you woke up tomorrow and something had shifted? Something small, something real, and you knew the author was still writing. Hold that blank page and bring it with you into this prayer. As I pray through what's coming, I want you to do one thing. Let a face come to mind. Somebody you know who's in the middle of their own Babylon right now. The coworker who's stuck in the placeholder job and pretending it's fine. The friend who's scrolling everyone else's harvest at midnight. The family member who moved somewhere they didn't choose and hasn't unpacked yet, literally or figuratively. Carry that face into the prayer. This isn't just for you. Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, we come to you this morning as people who are somewhere in the middle of a story we didn't fully choose. Some of us are in a chapter that looks nothing like the one we planned. Some of us have been in this chapter longer than we thought we'd be. And some of us walked in here this morning with a verse on a coffee mug and a heart full of questions about whether it's actually true. And we want to start by saying, thank you. Not because everything is fine, but because you are the God who wrote a letter to a people in exile and told them to plant gardens, who sent a book off a shelf in a Reno bookstore as an answer to a prayer, who takes the detours we didn't plan and turns them into the road we were always meant to be on. You are the author, and you have never abandoned a manuscript mid-sentence. God, we want to lay something down this morning. The waiting, the not yet, the gap between where we are and where we thought we'd be by now. We've been gripping it, white-knuckling a timeline that you never asked us to manage, trying to edit our own chapter before you finish writing it. We release that right now, not because the chapter stops being hard, but because we trust the author more than we trust our own reading of the plot. Take the red pen from our hands. We open them. Father, I want to pray for the person in the placeholder job right now. The one who went to school, did the work, followed the plan, and is now answering emails in a role that doesn't have their name on it. Who smiles in meetings and dies a little in the parking lot afterward. Who tells themselves it's temporary, but has been saying temporary for 2 years. Meet them right there, in that parking lot, in that Tuesday afternoon silence. Let them feel that their roots are going deeper than the job title shows, that the alfalfa is doing its work, even when the field looks empty. I pray for the person in the home they didn't choose, the apartment that's too small or in the wrong zip code or under someone else's name still on the mailbox, the interest rate that made the dream a little further away, the neighborhood that doesn't feel like theirs yet. God, speak Jeremiah 29:4 over them today. Build, plant, settle in, not because this is the end of the story, but because you're using this soil. You don't need a better location to write the next chapter. You're writing here. And I pray for the one who's been ambushed by comparison this week, who opened an app at the wrong moment and saw someone else's day 500, the promotion, the house, the family that looks like it was designed by a set decorator, and walked away feeling like they're behind in a race they didn't know they'd entered. Remind them, God, that the algorithm doesn't know their story. The algorithm can't see tiqvâ. It can't measure roots at 20 feet. It doesn't know what you're building. The algorithm sees what they post. You see what they plant. The algorithm measures their likes. You measure their roots. You do. God, now I want to pray about us. Not about the people in our lives, about us. Because we know the truth. We're not just praying from above these situations. We are in them. And sometimes we are the ones who make Babylon harder for the people around us. Guard our mouths today. From the words we speak over our own chapters, the I'm stuck, the I'm behind, the I don't know what I'm doing, that we say so casually we don't even hear ourselves saying them anymore. And guard our mouths from what we say over other people's chapters, the comparison we make out loud, the doubt we plant in someone else's soil without meaning to. The must be nice that we say with a smile when we mean something sharper. Remind us that we don't know the red pen pages of their story any more than they know ours. We are not the author of anyone else's story. Remind us of that today, in the moment when we forget. And now we declare this over today. Romans 8:28 says that in all things, you are working for the good of those who love you and are called according to your purpose. Not some things, not the easy things, not the things that make sense from the outside. All things. The placeholder job is all things. The apartment that's not the dream yet is all things. The season that has gone on longer than we planned is all things. The book that fell off a shelf in Reno and changed everything. That was all things. You waste nothing, not a single chapter, not a single route going down 20 feet in the dark. We believe that today, even on the days when we have to decide to believe it before we feel it. So we go into the placeholder job as planters, not prisoners. Into the home we didn't choose as builders, not tenants waiting to leave. Into the day's comparison traps with open hands, not clenched fists. We go as characters in a manuscript that the author has not abandoned. We go knowing that our location is not our destiny. It is our assignment. And we plant. Just stay here for a moment. You are held. The author is still writing. And the garden you plant today, even in this soil, even in this season, is already in His hands. Amen. Amen. Close this out. I want to give you one thing to carry today. Not a chapter, not a study. Just one line you can come back to when the afternoon gets loud. It doesn't matter where you are. It is what you plant while you are there. Write it down if you can. Say it out loud if you're alone. When the meeting runs long, when the scroll starts, when Babylon feels a little too permanent today, come back to that line. If something in this episode landed for you this morning, if you're the alfalfa, if you're in the placeholder, if you just opened your hands for the first time in a while, let us know in the comments. I want to know you were here. I want to know you planted something today. And if you want to go deeper into what God does with the seasons that feel like exile, the next episode takes us into one of the most unexpected promises in all of Scripture. A word that's been mistranslated for centuries. And when you hear what it actually means, you're going to want to go back and reread every hard chapter of your life with new eyes. That's coming tomorrow. I think you'll want to be there. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. If this prayer stirred something deep and you feel like you need more than words right now, please don't carry it alone. Reach out to someone you trust, a friend, a pastor, a counselor. You're worth the help, and wise support is one of God's good gifts too. You're not alone. I'm praying for you.